Welcome to Tactless Radio. I have such a headache. Oh my God. Stress and crying does not help. Oh, I swear 2026 is trying to take me out. But I'm a stronger bitch than that. I'm a stronger bitch than that. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tactless Radio. It is 2026. Happy New Year. Ooh, bitch, we made it. Barely. I'm barely holding on right now, as you all can see. I am in my most natural state that I have ever been in. My nails are not done. My hair is literally just blown out. No makeup, bathrobe, just I'm here kind of vibe right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you got a lot of pent up energy, whether it be anger, frustration, sadness, depression, and I think all creatives can relate to this. It's just better to get the fuck up and just do something with it, you know? It don't matter what you look like. It don't matter what you have or have not accomplished. You know, bitch, just get the fuck up and try something different. You know, transmute that energy into something else. Because as a Sagittarius, if I don't transmute this energy into something else creative, I will transmute it into something that will land me into jail. And we don't want that. We don't want that. I also want to say to all of my brothers and my sisters and my hims and my theys and my shims and my studs out there, happy Black History Month. Also, a little fact. Did you all know that this is the 100th year of us celebrating Black History Month? In 1926, it started off as just Black History Week. And we petitioned, put our foot down, and told them motherfuckers, no, give us more. And we ended up getting Black History Month. And this is the 100th year that we are celebrating Black History Month. Ain't that crazy? 100 years of being here. And this is what I want to tell a lot of people who ask that stupid ass question to Black Americans, where you really from? If we can say that we are celebrating the creation of Black History Month, we are celebrating the 100th year of Black History Month being active. And some of y'all ancestors didn't make it to Europe until 1960. Stop asking us where we're from. We are from here. Our history is literally baked into the fabric of this country. Okay? We are at ethnicity. We created an ethnicity in this country, and we are American. All right, thank you. Now with that, I figured I'd just share some Black history facts that I love to share, because I think a lot of people don't understand that this is a time in our history, in Black history, where we can really learn a lot more, and we can learn about figures and about laws and about places that we were not privy to before. This is an amazing time to learn more about our history, because we live in a country that tries to cover it up, that tells us that it started with Abraham Lincoln and it ended with Obama, and that is not the case. But what I like to do, and what I am going to probably be doing over here, is that I want to specifically talk about Black women history, because during this time of the year, when we're talking about our favorite Black history facts or figures, we can pop out 5 different things about Black men before someone even mentions a Black woman. And when they mention a Black woman, it's Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Angela Davis. Like, we're not really getting deep under the surface to talk about the stories of Black women that honestly pioneered a lot of this shit. Y'all wouldn't have the privileges and the benefits and the freedoms that you have if it really weren't for a lot of Black women doing the unsung work, the behind the scenes work, the work that was dirty and necessary. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. So I want to take this time on my platform to talk about them, to shine a light on them, for us to really uplift the Black women specifically that made this country, made our people, made our culture what it is today. And I am going to start with a hot and heavy one. I want to talk about Ella Baker. Fellow Sagittarius, I want to talk about Ella Baker. Why? Because she is a woman that when everyone else, and honestly, I'm just letting y'all know now, when I kind of replay the history here, I'm going to replay it in a very modern way. What I love about Ella Baker is that she had criticisms of Martin Luther King Jr. when everybody else was kissing his ass. Yeah. That takes a lot. That takes a lot of guts and a lot of gumption. One, to be a woman, because a lot of people fail to realize that in the Black community, Black men have privileges. And one of those privileges was that since they were men, they typically led a lot of movements, got a lot of credit for leading those movements. They're cemented in our history books. Their names are cemented in monuments. And women typically have to fight to get their names remembered in history. So in the midst of Martin Luther King Jr. doing his great work, she was like, there are things that we could do differently, because I could see the bigger picture, because I have a different perspective, because I am a woman, or because of the history. Because Ella Baker, the reason why she was even in the vicinity of Martin Luther King is because she has a packed history and resume of always getting this shit done. So let's talk about her. So she was born December 13th in 1903 and became an ancestor on December 13th, 1986. I love a girl who is right on time. You know, it's like I'm going home on the same day that I came in. I love that. I love a good, well-rounded figure. And I am reading this from the Stanford Martin Luther King Jr. Research and Education Institute, which says, rejecting Martin Luther King's charismatic leadership, Ella Baker advised student activists organizing the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which is also known as SNCC. I know that's right! Rather than the leader-centered styles she associated with King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which is the SCLC. It was this grassroots leadership that Baker credited for the success and longevity of the movement. You see, I think that, to be very honest, the movement made Martin rather than Martin making the movement. This is not a discredit to him. This is, to me, as it should be. She was born in Norfolk, Virginia on December 13th, shout out to Sagittarius, in 1903, and was raised on the same land her grandparents had worked as slaves. Baker's childhood was marked early on by the activist spirit of her mother, a member of the local missionary association who called on women to act as agents of social change in their communities. So she was already of good activist stock. Like, I also read a story about her grandmother, who was born a slave, ended up as a punishment doing very hard labor because she refused to marry a man that her enslaver said she had to marry. She was like, hell no, we won't go. And she took the punishment and she kept it kicking. But she, Ella Baker, comes from a long line of women of getting the fuck up and getting it done. After graduating from Shaw University in 1927, Baker moved to New York, where she served as national director of the Young Negroes Cooperative League. In 1938, Baker joined the staff of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, also known as the NAACP. She joined as an assistant field secretary and later as a director of branches. Unable to redirect the organization's focus towards grassroots organizing, Baker resigned from her position in 1946. She joined the NAACP again in 1952 as president of the New York City branch. In 1956, Baker, along with Stanley Levison and Bayard Rustin, co-founder In Friendship, an organization founded to provide aid to local movements in the South. Now, I want to pause there for a little bit because one thing that was consistent and was criticism of a lot of the civil rights movement back then, specifically from women, was that the movement was starting to become leader-centric and not people-centric. Ella Baker's criticism of Martin Luther King was that, yes, he's doing amazing work, but this movement is being centered around a person instead of it being centered around the cause, instead of it being centered around the people that we are trying to protect, that we are trying to provide aid. And that's where a lot of people were like, shh, woman, shut up, you don't know anything. She also didn't really like the fact, because we are now also talking about our culture, which really had a lot of roots in the church, a lot of women in the church were not going to be given any type of position of leadership. They were not seen as leaders. It is just kind of like a biblical thing, because it's in the Bible, actually, that women aren't to lead, that they should not be in front of the pulpit, that they don't have a message to give others. And that trickled down into how they did a lot of their civil rights movements and the positioning of women and how they were only able to do certain type of things, i.e. in service to the community or to the leaders. And Ella was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. So what she did when Martin Luther King came down to speak to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, he wanted to start a student-led branch of the SCLC. He wanted to go down there and speak to the students and kind of start a student branch of that. Ella was like, you know what? Hold up. Instead of y'all doing that, I think you all should start your own organization. Like, yeah, it's cool if you want to be a part of what Martin doing and everything, but I think y'all got the guts and the gumption to do it on your own. I think you all can come together, since you know what you need at this campus in this town amongst your peers and the people. You all know what you need better than anyone else. You should start it. You should lead it. And it should be focused on group efforts, not leader-led. And that's how we got SNCC. And if you're saying to yourself, SNCC sounds familiar, where do I know that organization from? The bus boycotts would be their claim to fame. That really changed the economic South and the buying power of Black people. And she is credited for starting SNCC instead of it being just a student-led branch off of an organization that Martin already had going on. And that same organization led to bus strikes, to boycotts, to getting shit done in the South. So Miss Ella here had a lot of criticism, but also was able, from her experience and from just the great gene stock that she comes from, to rally the people to say, you know what, I can do this, and I can do this for myself, and I can do this for the people in my community. I don't need it for it to be top down, which is what Ella was trying to avoid, these students creating another top down situation where they would have to get their commands essentially from Martin's core group. How about you just do it? You're here, you know the people, you know the community, you know your needs, you know your wants. And those students went on to do very great things. However, there were some criticisms of Ella. You know, she had some things to say about Martin. People around Martin, people in the camp had things to say about her. So in addition to the criticism of the SCLC's organizing philosophy, which is leader-led, top-down, right? Baker also experienced conflicts with her male colleagues. Andrew Young described Baker as a determined woman and went on to say the Baptist Church had no tradition of women in independent leadership roles, and the result was dissatisfaction all around.
It's getting weird.
That's why I always have a problem with religion, but we're going to talk about that at another time. But Ella also has made comments about how she had a lot of experience in activism work and organizing. And when she went to work with the NAACP and when she went to work alongside Martin, she came with experience, she came with a perspective, she came with great ideas. And she talked about often how she was just blown off, wasn't considered, no one wanted to listen to her because she was a woman. She was told to grab coffee, to file papers, and to do secretary work, even though at that time she had more experience than Martin himself. And that's why it's very important for us to speak these women's names, because they get lost in history, specifically because they are not only Black, but because they are also a woman. So let's make sure that we honor them, that we raise up our ancestors during this time, but that we do not forget all of the fantastic Black women who have contributed to the creation of America, to the freedoms that we have as Black people, and why we are badasses today in this moment. So thank you. And make sure that you come back to Tactless Radio and join me to learn more Black history, specifically Black women's history this month, because I got a lot to share. One of the things I told myself that I was going to do in 2026 was learn something new. And I'm a forever learner anyway, a lifelong learner, essentially. So I always know that it's important to learn a new word, a new phrase, read books, all the things. But I recently read a study that said that when you are in your 30s, some things that you can do to kind of offset getting dementia or Alzheimer's is learning new things and new skills in your 30s. So you have to keep your brain tight and the synapses snapping, essentially. And one of the things that you can do to get your brain going so that it stays young and healthy is learn new things. And to tell you the truth, I never really liked the phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because if I can't, I'm taking the dog out to the back. Not literally, figuratively. But what do you mean you can't teach an old dog new tricks? That's why that dog is old and grumpy and can't remember anything and is having a miserable time, because they have not learned anything new, something that could actually be very beneficial to them. So let's not be that old dog that feels that they can't learn a new trick. So what I've been learning is ASL. I should be learning Spanish. I feel like I'm just going to learn that one off to the side, but I am making a conscious effort to learn American Sign Language. I recently learned the alphabet, so that I could sign my name. So Brittney. I learned other way. I learned good morning, and you have to have this open because if you do this, then it's a fuck you, and that's bad, right? You don't want to do that. Name, so my name, and then you sign your name. I learned that. Understand, don't understand. So, yes and no. Just picking up a couple things just to kind of have that in my back pocket. And every day I'm learning something new in terms of signing a different phrase or a different word or just learning structure of things. It's been very interesting. And I'm actually interested to see how I would do with American Sign Language because I'm a dancer. So I feel like just putting things in my body is easy for me. So we will see. We will see. I'm actually really excited.
Bruh.
So we will see. I'm really excited to ward off dementia, but I'm also excited to learn a new skill. So, what are you going to be learning in 2026 so that you don't get dementia? Don't you want to know your name at 80? You still want to be a young whippersnapper in the mind? Because age is all about how you feel at the end of the day. Age is a number, very important number, but it's more about how you feel. And if you're 80 and you feel sharp and you feel strong, you could say you 50, bitch. Who gonna tell you different? Make sure you are learning something new, or make sure that you are having new experiences, because learning doesn't necessarily have to be very stagnant and sitting down and having a book open and having your computer open. You can also go to a museum. You can go to a botanical garden. You can go visit a very holy site and learn about where you are. Experiences also count as learning opportunities. And as a Sagittarius, those are my favorite type of moments of learning, is to have an experience. So whatever you gotta do with your 2026 resolutions, I'm pretty sure people got health on there. I'm pretty sure people got eating right, saving money, stuff like that. But let's do something that your old self is going to be so happy that you started doing now. Welcome back to another episode of Tactless Radio, and it is I, Be Bad, your host with the most. Actually, I don't have much of anything, to tell you the truth. I don't have much to give. Look at me. Clap for me. I'm here, and I showed up. And you know what? I know I typically give y'all like a little third something, but all I can tell you is to show up for yourself. Show up for yourself. Depend on yourself. Believe in yourself. Tell yourself you got it, and then have it. That's all I can give. And you want to know something? Sometimes giving all that you have is enough. Thank you. Bye-bye. And I will see you all next time. I need to go lay down.